Bam. Just like that. It's 2 o'clock on a Sunday, and it's time for some repairs today. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Had a good weekend. It's sad that it's coming to a close soon, but you know, we're still in the middle of the day, so there's lots of time, lots of things to do. And pardon, God, got a little. Maybe I ate too fast. Anyways, yeah, let's get to it. I got a good old Mafex waist break. No Mafex is safe from the waist break. None of them. Zero, zilch, nada. I think all of them break at the waist at some point. Generally, it's because I can't even say generally. I see a lot of these people try to tighten them, and they break, or they could break right from the factory. And I'm not sure exactly how this one broke. I can definitely see that from here. You see that the ball is in here. So fun stuff. What's going on, Owen Herman? Actually, Owen, thank you for joining me. One of my newest patrons. Freaking awesome. Really appreciate that. I think it's super cool. Thank you for joining. And of course, after this is over, around 3 o'clock, we'll be moving on over to the Patreon Discord chat. A lot of times, a lot of the guys show up there from the Patreon. And usually we're just in there messing around, BSing. I might repair some stuff. I got a lot of stuff to organize, so I'm not sure if I'll be repairing some stuff. I do have an unboxing I'll be doing in there today, so that'll be really fun. Very exciting. Johnny says, Brent reached out asking if you considered fixing his doll. No. Oh, God, man. At first I thought that was... You're awful. You're awful. No, I'm not going to consider that. I don't fix those types of toys. It's not a good thing to fix. You shouldn't have those in the first place. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start here. I'm going to remove this. Actually, I'm going to remove everything that's kind of unnecessary. Gosh, I think I got cat hair in here. Whoops. I let one of my animals in here the other day. Let's see, well, we're going to go ahead and take off all the extra pieces, actually. Actually, the thing that I usually fix on Psylocke, surprisingly, is I fixed like 2 or 3 of her bicep joints here. Shoulder joints. I don't know how these things break, but somehow they do. It's kind of weird, like, because the way this goes inside of the bicep is if this ball was too tight in here, the joint that actually sticks into this shoulder piece right here is keyed, meaning it's a specific shape. It's not rounded, so this actually does not. This is the swivel from the bicep. The shoulder does not swivel at all. It bends, but it's just the half of this ball is actually in there. So if this was too tight and you tried to bend it, it would snap. So I guess that's what happened on those. But we're gonna start today. We're gonna finish this. We're gonna start this. We're gonna finish it eventually, but so we're gonna remove this ball here and see. Good night. Yeah, I think this looks like this was a tightening job for show. Let's see who's popping up in here. Oh, we got Chrisman, Esteban Barazza. Look at that. We got 3 patrons in here. You guys are awesome. Nacho, Chrisman, if you guys are available, once again, we're going to be going into the Discord chat after this. So if you guys are available, come on in, hang out. So this is how I tell people how to do this. What's up, Darth G? Thanks for being in here, man. A lot of times what I got to do is I take this small flathead screwdriver. I've actually got somebody who's been messaging me now about actually, Owen, you can relate to this. His Mafex brown suit Wolverine. He tried to tighten the waist bit and he put too much glue on it. It hasn't broken yet, but it's stuck. And he keeps asking me, how do I get it out? How do I get it out? And I'm like, that's such a difficult, I can't really answer. Like, the best I could answer was, I said, take a small, sharp, flathead screwdriver. Obviously be careful. And what you got to do is basically this. You kind of have to chip away all of this right here is adhesive. I can tell this has got adhesive on it. I don't remember if the client told me that or not. He probably did. But yeah, so this is kind of difficult. This is a really hard repair. Luckily, this has a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of these arms too. I don't want to break anything on this figure. Yeah, so I can't tell if this moved at all. I think it was a little more to the side whenever I started. Basically, what I'm doing is just trying to get in here and chip away, kind of chisel away at some of the excess super glued, because this thing is locked in here. It'd be one thing if this was broke and was able to move. So what you can do is I take a lot of these like sharper utensils, and you have to be really, really careful when doing this. You don't want to like slip and stab yourself. It definitely comes with the territory in doing this, but you just got to be careful. Another thing you can do here, if you have any that you can actually, any area you can grip, and it looks like I've actually moved this thing, you want to take some pliers. I would start with needle nose and see if you can't grip any of it to move it. And I wouldn't try to twist it. I would try to lean it to the left, or to the side. That might actually help. You can't really, what you'd want to do is grip here and tighten here, but you can't do that, because if you did that, you would screw up this beautiful metallic-y paint job here, or whatever figure you're using. So I'm just trying to see if I can't move this. So if we can twist it to the side a little bit. You don't want to grab it. God dang, this is pretty rough. Okay, so I think I've got it moved because it was to the side earlier. And let's say for some reason you can't get it moved. The worst case scenario that could happen here is you have to dribble this out and basically add a new ball to the peg, which honestly that's the worst, but it can be done and fixed. I've done that several times. People have sent me one that's like, hey, this broke, and I get it, and they don't have the other side of the peg, so I can't reattach it, so I just have to kind of make a new one. Here's a little trick you can do. If you have a Dremel and a steady hand, you want to go in at a lower speed. And a lot of these pegs, this is if the ball is still in there, a lot of these pegs you can actually see, some of them have like a divot in them, almost like a hole. To me, it actually makes the peg more weak, because it seems like there's a bubble, some kind of I don't know what you'd call it, like just a hollow inside for some reason. So what we want to do is we're going to take this drill, and we're going to carefully, we're going to drill into the ball. And we don't want to go too far in, just enough. You're not going to check and see how far you went in. Let's see. I actually went in farther than I expected, but I think I went in just enough. If you do go in further, like past the ball, it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna hit anything, as long as you don't go in, like freaking an inch, which is impossible with this thing anyway. But anyways, so we've got this set here. Let me double check the width on this. I want to make sure I'm using the right gauge of eye hook screw. Give me just a second. Let's see if we can find the right. I usually keep around 3 different sizes of these guys around. You never know. Like with this being a female figure from Mafex, her joints are smaller than a male's joints that they utilize. So we don't want to use our giant one here. I don't think this will be. Basically what we don't want it to do is we don't want to hollow out this completely right here. This is what we're about to drill into and reattach the ball to, right? So let's see if this is good enough. I used I believe this is a 0.9 millimeter. You could go from 0.8 to maybe 1.1 being the biggest gauge. But so what you can do, you drill a hole here, right? We drilled a hole in the ball, the peg end, I guess. And so let's see, because we're going to use this anyways to reattach it, like I said. So let's see if we can just insert this into the hole we just drilled. And let's see if we can bend it. So the ball is actually moving. So we did break the adhesive a minute ago. Usually a lot of times that's what happens is it basically makes a seal at that point of contact, which is the whole point of adhesive, but basically like the ring around. So you've got a ball basically, and where that goes in, it's only gonna really attach at that outer edge. If you can crack that out, it'll pop out, because generally when you push it in, the adhesive tries to escape. So it's the only way it can escape is out the exit hole. And so if that goes in, most of it is going to go out. Now, it can get pretty messy. It can get to the point where the whole thing's solidified. But a lot of times with this PVC plastic, it's not connecting at every spot. It is enough to expand, though, and obviously break your joint. So we've got this in here. We've got it to the point where we're happy, I think. Let's see if I can't pull this straight out. Because I don't want to bend it to the left or right, because I've got the hole in there. Doing that could actually rip the hole that we've made. If I can pull this straight out, that's going to be the best. Let's see if it'll work. Oh man, god dang, that's really in there. I don't want to rip the plastic that we've got here. There we go. Yeah. So you can see, let's see if I can show you here. You can see all of that junk, all that white adhesive residue. And you can see also that that's not really as round anymore, because it's added all these anomaly pieces on here, right? That's another issue now that we have to deal with. This is why this is also a more complicated repair, because now we have to go in and essentially, I think I just hit my camera there for a second. Oops. What we can do is go in with a razor blade, and you can kind of just scrape, and a lot of times that adhesive will just come right off. Sometimes it'll leave a little bit behind, but at least this is, you're kind of getting that adhesive off and leaving the PVC behind, which is always, this is what we want. So we're going to also take our sanding bit here, and we're going to go just lightly around it. Just barely hit that, just hit the adhesive spots, really. Just a little bit. All right. I think that'll do. Now we also want to take a look inside here. Now this is also going to cause a problem on the interior side. Dang it, I need to get a burr bit. So we're going to take a burr bit. Alright, I thought I prepped all of my Dremels for exactly what we'd need today, and I didn't think about doing that. Let's take this guy out, and we're going to add a burr bit here. And so what you want to do is just kind of, like I said, leave this on a less, like for the Dremel stylus, it's at a number 4, so that's like maybe a 1/3 power, maybe a little over a 1/3. And you can just bring it inside here and just kind of, just a little bit. I'm not like dremeling this out like crazy, We just want to kind of knock free any kind of jagged edges or anomaly pieces in there. All right, so that should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and reattach our drill bit. Okay. So next, we're gonna take the piece here, and we're gonna go ahead and drill a hole, just like we did through the ball, actually. And we're just gonna drill a hole straight down the center. Make sure it's in the center. Sometimes it wants to go off to the side a little bit, and we don't want that. Be careful we don't break a bit. This is not what you want to break a bit in. All right, that's pretty good. It's not directly in the center, but it's close enough. And you'll never see this anyways. As long as you're you didn't drill like cut out a hole. You don't want to do that because then it won't attach properly. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to take our ball peg. I'm going to take these kind of pliers. These pliers are great. And I had the name of these not too long ago, and now I can't remember what they were called. Sorry about that. They're bad. Dang it. What are these? Crap. I can get the name for you guys. But basically they're flat on the end here. They've got a little divot right here. They're kind of like for wires, I believe. So even though I drilled, whenever I was drilling in here earlier, luckily, you know, the bottom was exposed. I always want to go through the bottom of these first when I drill, just because I know that's exactly where the screw's going to come out at, right? And what that does is just kind of lets me line this up so I know that whenever we put the screw in, it's going to come out perfectly in the bottom. Because if you were to drill from the top, I don't know, you know, like there's not really at least here you've basically got a mark, you've got a bullseye, you know, you know where your center's at. From the top, you might cut it at an angle or something like that, and it could potentially come out the side, and you don't want that to happen. That's just a mess. You don't want that. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's see if we can twist this in. It's actually better if you get a grip on it first instead of trying to do it with your hands. Take care of your hands, guys. They're very important. I've been having some issues with mine here lately, so I gotta work smarter, not harder. All right, there we go. So that's going in. You can see that I'm actually putting this in just with my bare hands. All I needed was it to, you know, one little grip with these pliers, so that's good. You can tell that there's not a lot of pressure there, but there's just enough tension. You can feel it. It's going in. You don't have to force that. You shouldn't have to force that screw in with like grabbing it by a pair of pliers. Not until you add adhesive. At that point, it does kind of expand a little bit, makes a little more tension, adds a little more tension to it. But other than that, you should be able to do that with your bare hands starting. If I can grab it. There we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to straighten this out. So I grip it with these pliers here. And it's always good to have some needle nose pliers as well, which are here. And so what I do is I grip the threading, and then I grab the shorter end of the hook itself that's open, and I'll start to bend like so. And then you can bend this a little more right here, so it's straightening out, you can see. And then you grab this guy here, and you bend that straight. Just kind of slow and steady, kind of check it from the side. And you just want to kind of get it as straight as you can. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfectly level. You'll notice there's a, let's see, we don't want it that crooked, but let's see if I can't get this, and I'll show it to you close up there. Okay. And so this is what we're looking at. It's not perfectly straight. We're not using the entire piece here. We're only going to go in about maybe a quarter, third of an inch maybe. So I'll show you. And what we're going to do now is we're going to grip the ball peg end with these pliers. We're going to take our straightened screw, and we're going to go ahead and slowly insert that into just barely in here. This is where you're going to need to use your pliers. Usually I'll leave more of a hook right here. Kind of messed up there. I didn't leave a hook. It gives it a little more grip so you can grab it. Although I'm not too worried about it right now. So notice that I didn't go all the way in. I just I put maybe 2 or 3 twists onto it. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to add, so what I like, this is how I like doing this now. I like to put it in just a little bit there, and then we'll take our adhesive here. Since I'm doing this over the camera, I don't want to risk getting anything on there. So now I'll put a little dab right here on this threading that's exposed. Kind of run up a little bit there. And what this will do is now we can start turning that. And now it's going to go inside, and it's going to basically evenly distribute all of that adhesive inside of the peg. So we can just keep going, and we're gonna expose a pretty good amount of the threading. Just keep going. And also the fact that it's like not completely super straightened sometimes allows it to kind of hang in there a little bit better. Gives it like that little extra like kind of grip and tension because you've kind of gone in at an angle. All right, so now we've got a good amount exposed here. And it looks like what might have happened here whenever we just twisted that in, it looked like it might have cracked a little split right here, which isn't a problem. What you can do is you can add a little glue to that. Once this also is inserted, the pressure from around the cavity will actually keep it in, if that makes sense, which I hope it does. Okay. And also, it doesn't hurt to like kind of lace this guy with some glue a little bit. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, so next we are going to insert this into the other hole that we made right here. So let's go ahead and get a grip on this. You don't want to twist this in via the plastic, okay? You don't want to risk breaking that hold. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put this in, we're going to screw this in while holding on to the screw, and we're going to cut that off after we've put this in. So with our threading exposed, we're going to add a nice little healthy amount of glue and make sure it's touching the plastic as well. Be careful whenever you're doing this. Don't accidentally like hit the sides or anything like that of her uniform here. I think I tested. Yeah, I didn't test the screw in here first. I probably should have done that. Okay, before we get crazy, let's make sure that this hole is going to be big enough. Go back in real fast. Just in case. Yeah, usually what you should do is test a screw in there first, and I didn't do that, so that was on me. Whoops. Okay, but we still have this to go. Just had to make the hole a little bit bigger. Like I said, you don't force it, and you've got time to work, so you're okay. This glue isn't going to just dry up on you. So we just had to make the hole just slightly bigger with the same drill bit. I'm just going to slowly screw this in. Slowly. Make sure it's centered. It's looking pretty good. One final slight twist. I'm gonna make sure that that's. It looks like it's like almost angled forward. I wonder if this like snapped at some point and like bent the plastic forward. Let's see there. There we go. Maybe so. I think that'll work just fine. Okay, cool. So now what we have to do is let this glue dry. We want to make sure that it's all making a good connection right around in here. We're gonna, what I like to do is take that excess glue that kind of seeps out after you squish that down in there, right? Like whenever you screw the peg on, that excess glue just kind of makes its way out due to, you know, science and pressure and math. So what I do is I take that and I'll kind of evenly spread it around the seam and down a peg, you know, especially one like this that's not going to be, you know, visually exposed. So now we just let this dry for a bit, and while that's drying, we're going to work on Ash and Rat from the fantastic Mr. Fox. In fact, I think I do. Oh man, look at this. This is awesome. I actually have Mr. Fox. This is my figure. I love this movie. I think it's awesome. Right? This is so cool. This is like, I've never messed with these before. I wish I would have bought the whole wave whenever these released, but I got Fox, and I really should have got Ash and Rat, and then oh gosh, what's Bill Murray's character too? They made him, which is pretty funny. But anyways, this is cool. This is Jason Schwartzman's character in the movie, and you can tell here that he's had a bit of an accident. His leg broke off, so we got to fix that. This is kind of a simple fix, I would say. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start by, we gotta heat this up, right? As you can see here, we got the peg, and so we gotta remove it. So what we're gonna do, since this is just kind of the, oh my gosh, just knocked my dustpan over. Been doing some cleaning in here. We're gonna heat this up. It shouldn't take too long. This is a relatively small leg. It's almost the size of a like a G.I. Joe, like a 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe leg. It's pretty small. We got interesting proportions on these figures, so we'll heat this up. It's getting softer. I think that should do it. That should do it. All right. Where did I put my... Oh, hidden. Take our tiny flathead here, and we'll go in probably from the top, I think. Careful. That pops that out. All right. So, this is a pretty standard repair. It's exactly actually what we just did with Psylocke, only for a leg. So, and this one wasn't, no glue was used on these. These guys are pretty fragile. I actually noticed that Rat couldn't bend his legs earlier, his knees, so I actually heated it up. What I had to do was heat it up, and this happens a lot. So if you're ever needing to heat up a figure like from NECA or something like that, or if a joint's just stuck, heat it up, and then you take your flathead screwdriver and you go in on the sides of the disc, like so, going like this, going like that, and then it usually, that's all it takes. It just breaks all that paint or plastic or whatever is causing the problem. Normally, if it's a pinless joint like this is, sometimes you can run into the issue of something going wrong inside. So in a pinless joint, a lot of times, this is kind of crazy, but what you have to do is heat it up so much that you have to stick the whatever pin or piece that you're using inside. Like, you go from the side into the disc, and you kind of got to go around the pin, and that might break something up. Sometimes that happens. It's a weird repair. That's one of the, it's kind of a more difficult one. And if you break a pinless joint, those repairs are wild. That's a whole thing. That is a whole thing. It's actually a class I think I'm going to offer in the Maru University that I'm about to put up. I have 3 class ideas right now that I'm going to be putting up, and so hopefully that people seem to really get excited over that idea. So hopefully they will join in and deliver. We'll see. Okay, so back to the repair. So once again, we're gonna go in from the bottom. Okay. Try to stay in the middle. And sometimes what you want to do, if it's a thinner piece like this, you kind of want to go drill in, get your start going, and then kind of back out. Sometimes if you try to stay in there in that thin housing, you risk melting that plastic, and then you can really screw that up. So you don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and fill that. Let's go in it a little further. All right, I think we just made it all the way through. Let's go all the way through one more time. See, now we can kind of wiggle the bit around in there, and just to kind of make it cleaned out. And then we're going to go in again from the opposite side. Always do that just to make sure that it's cleaned all the way out, because it could push plastic up into the end. Even though the drill bit does come out, some stuff can still get kind of locked up in there, and we want to make sure that that's going to get that all cleaned out. So we're also going to do the same here. You kind of have to be careful on this one right here too, because on figures like this, what you have is the ball peg. These do not have drop down hips, so that means these share a housing. So when you drill a hole into here, you're actually going to be drilling into the other leg peg. So you got to be very careful and make sure you hit the center of this one, because this just kind of can cause a whole issue. Yeah. So to be safe, what you might want to do is remove the other leg, just in case. So let's say you were to drill all the way through on accident, you could potentially drill through the leg, and then you've got more work on your hands. You got sculpting, you got painting, sanding, all that stuff. A lot of tears, just a real bad time. So we don't want that. It should be heated up enough. Okay, so we got both legs off here, and once again, you can see here that we're, like I said, no drop downs, just straight all the way through. And this actually gives us a better visual as to where we're going with this. So I'm going to try to keep this directly in the center if we can. I want to keep this in the center as much as I can. Keep it straight. Let's see, I don't think it looks like I went all the way through here, because now I kind of want to make sure that this isn't going to break off. So I kind of do want to make sure that this goes all the way through to the other side. That way, just kind of reinforces this guy as well, which I hope so. I don't know if I actually went through that correctly or if I went down. Let's see. Let's see where I went. It's really kind of just a guessing game at this point. Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually went down the center. I wish I could show you that you can't see my drill bit anywhere. So, because it's actually inside of this peg right now. So that's exactly what we want. And now we can essentially double reinforce this, which, that's always happy for, makes a happy client. And I'm believing that due to the size of this, like I said, this is really similar, almost exact same size as the, maybe a little smaller than the Psylocke one. We're going to go ahead and use the same size screw, which I think should work. Just want to make sure that whenever we do put this in, that we do have some threading left over. Let me take a look at one of these bigger ones here. See what we got going on. Because the more threading you got, the better. That's a lot more threading on this guy. Okay, I think we might try the bigger version here. So we might have to actually use a bigger screw, or excuse me, a drill bit. We'll see. Straighten this out. Just like we did a minute ago with Psylocke. Straighten it out. Because this one, we really want this guy to go a pretty long ways. Alright, that's looking pretty decent. Okay. Yeah, I want to put a little more care into this one just because we have to use more of it. That's pretty good. I think that's really good, actually. And this is what I was talking about a minute ago whenever I like to kind of leave a little hook on the end, like so. That way, whenever we go to screw this in, we get a grip, if I can get a grip, jeez, and tighten it like so. And it just allows you to, you know, a little easier grip for you. Okay, so we're going to take our peg here, and let's see, I'll make sure we don't split it like we did with the Psylocke one. Yeah, I think we're going to need to go in with a little bit bigger drill bit, which I have prepared. This one right here. And this, I believe, is a 1.1. And a good thing you can always do is if you drill in with a smaller bit first, which I generally will recommend, and you drill in with that and it's gonna lay the foundation. Basically, it sets a track for you. And then you can go in with a larger drill bit and it's just gonna keep it in the center and it's just gonna kind of make the outer edges larger, So let's go in. Make sure this guy's straight. It's kind of got a wobble to it. It's going this way. There we go. Go back in the other way. I know this seems tedious, but it's just this is the life, I guess. All right, here we go. Back through. All right. We're gonna do that here as well. Awesome. All right. That one we don't go back through just because we're only going in one way on this guy and that's it. The only reason I go all the way through both sides of these is because we know it's going to go from one end out the other. This one's literally just going to screw into this socket here, so we'll be fine. Okay. Now we want to test. Once again, testing. There we go. Let's see if this will... This plastic's really hard. Oh, Clayton. This is Rat. This is Willem Dafoe from Fantastic Mr. Fox. So, Rat, Willem Dafoe, Ash, Jason Schwartzman, and of course, this one's mine, George Clooney as the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I really wish the mouths open on these. I wish a company would make these with like almost like flocked fur, and it seems really strange. Usually it's not something that I would want to collect, but these are so freaking cool. I wish a company would make these where they looked like the actual movie. Like, these are really cool. They just have zero articulation. There's really nothing to them. You stand them up and that's it. You can't do much with them. Like, check this out. This is so for Rat. This is his elbow articulation. Wait for it. Are you dazzled? Yep, that's it. He cannot do anything. I wish his mouth opened and stuff. I was able to actually get more range out of his legs than I thought I could. I heated these up last night, but I mean, even this is, if you can, this is about as far as they go forward. And then I was able to heat up the legs and get that out of it. And I was heated these up and was able to get the movement out of those. But he's really just to stand on a shelf and just look menacing and weaselly and ratty, I guess you would call him. But that's it. It's crazy, man. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Oh, and you're right. A24 is ripe for that stuff. I'm surprised too. Or some other company, you know, it's wild. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and try to insert this screw. Like I said, this plastic's a little more, I don't know if it's brittle or durable or harder, whatever you want to call it. I can't really get a read on this. This feels like kind of like older Toy Biz plastic, so it makes me nervous. I don't want to split this thing in here. And I know usually, like what I said earlier, is like you want to be able to like twist this in with your hands. The reason I can't do that right now is because I've already straightened it out. And so you can take one that you haven't straightened out. It's way easier to do whenever it's got the rounded hook on it. Let's see if we can't get that in there. It's just harder. This stuff's harder to grip. It doesn't have a good enough, like, it doesn't have a grip like the other one does. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, generally it's I mean, that's really hard to grip anyways with your bare hands, is the rounded ball there, because it's so freaking tiny. But yeah, that's gonna work out really good. You can already see that the plastic's exposed. Also, once again though, it split the center as well. So maybe I don't know. It's like the plastic's really strange. Maybe you need to make the hole a little bit bigger down the I guess you would call it the shaft, really, of the peg. But yeah, you can see like it's split right here, which isn't, I'm not too concerned with that, but just to err on the side of caution, make it a little wider, and we don't want that to happen down here especially. So I'll go ahead and bring the this in here. Actually, I'm going to extend this because I don't want to run into the figure and hurt the figure. Let's make sure this isn't running wobbly. It looks a little wobbly. Okay. Let's see if we can't do this. Just run this through here. Should be just going in there just fine, but okay, went out the other side, so that's not bad. Just make sure that we're getting enough clearance in here to not split it. I think that'll do it. Cool. Okay, back to it. Let's go ahead and start. Since we know this is going to go all the way through, no problem. We're going to start screwing that in. It's a good start. And just like before on Psylocke, we're going to insert just a little bit of it. We're going to take our JB Super Weld here, and we're going to put it on the threading. We're going to go up a little further this time because we have to go out further. And so let's go ahead and grip this here. And let's go ahead and begin the twisting process. Hopefully not the twist and shout process, because you don't want to be shouting during this. You don't want to run into a problem that causes you to shout. Trust me, it's not fun. All right, let's. So stupid. Let's get this going. Like I said, we need this to go out much further, but we don't want to lose all of our threading. You know what I mean? We don't want to, because then we're just going to end up with basically a peg on here. This is pretty good. I think that gives us about, so yeah, we've got a good maybe 1/8 of an inch of threading. All the threading is like basically right in here. And so what you can do as well, where this piece split a minute ago, there's a split right here, right? So what you can do is you can glue here just a little on that piece, and you can take your pliers, you can kind of squeeze that to the point where it'll just kind of give it a better, not only have you're basically making a casing around the edge here, but you're also just reinforcing all of that. Yeah, it won't move. It's not gonna, you won't see it or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, one of those things that you kind of want to make. For some reason, I always want to make the repair look as pretty as possible, even though it's not going to be seen. It's kind of weird. So, you know, what are you going to do? What's up? My man Gambit's in here, or AKA Chris Jordan. Hope you're having a good Sunday, man. I see you saying happy Sunday. I appreciate that. Thank you. Same to you. Okay. So now that we've got this inserted here, let's go ahead and we're going to add more JB Super Weld to this down here. And we're going to make sure it's kind of all the way around on this one. I just want to make sure that it's connecting to that plastic. So whenever we push this on, because keep in mind, we're kind of doing a double repair here. A preemptive repair on the other side. Don't you fall. Don't you fall. I hate it when it does that. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and drive this all the way through into the other. So it's gonna go like all the way through the middle piece here, and it's gonna go all the way out the other side into the other peg, and it should keep that peg attached as well, which is exactly what we want. It's kind of like I said, just a preemptive repair. If I can do this for a client, a lot of times I will. It just makes more sense, because I honestly, I don't, as much as I like getting, you know, paid a little bit to do these, I don't like a return on a repair. It happens every now and then, and it sucks. Nothing makes you feel worse than when somebody puts their trust in you and something along the way just didn't work, or, you know, it happens. So I'm not perfect for sure, but most people are pretty understanding. I had one guy whenever I first started out, he was not understanding at all. He was very grumpy. He was a very mad person. So I gave him a refund. Very, very mad, angry person. Okay. And also something you can do here, since there is a hole now on the other side here, because we drilled all the way through, you can actually, let's make sure the hole's open here. You can kind of put some, any kind of liquid type of glue, and it can just kind of seep down. Cover that hole up and add a little security blanket in there. So, and it'll just reach the tip of that screw. But, okay. So now that is another one that we have to sit here and let that dry. What's going to happen once that's done is we're going to clip the end off of here, which I think we could probably do with Psylocke. Hopefully I'll get to rat. I don't know, we've only got like 10 minutes left, but I'll see. Let's see what happens. So we're going to take this right here. I'll take these end cutters, or end nippers. You can take these guys right here, and we're going to clip the end off of this. Where's what I like to do? For a lot of you guys that have been following me forever, you know, one of my favorite little techniques here is get your end nippers, and you get it right to the end, as close to the end as you can get here on this guy. That's pretty good. Then you can put it in a bag like so. Clip, that way the piece isn't falling anywhere, and you can just dump the bag out and reuse it later on as your clip bag, your clipper bag. Okay, so you'll notice here, this is what's left on the, that's not any better. That's, okay. So there's an edge here. You can see this little sharp piece, and we want to get rid of that. You can do that with a sanding bit. I like to use the old Dremel 4000 here just because it's stronger, faster, and makes a way quicker job. So watch this. You might turn the sound down. This might get louder. I don't know how YouTube regulates the audio. I could probably lower it myself, but saw some sparks there. That's why you want to be very careful what you're doing that around. Make sure nothing's super flammable, and also put your safety goggles on just in case, because you never know. Pieces can fly out, and just because it hasn't done it 1,000 times doesn't mean it won't do it on the 1,001st time. Okay. Chris Jordan asked, "Hey Bill, have you taken a Vulcan body apart yet? I can't get the arms to pop out. Any ideas?" I have not, actually, and I only have the one. You said you can't get the arms to pop out. Are you meaning like trying to get the arms to pop out of the butterfly joints? Is that what you're referring to? Okay, so with that, we want to, I'm going to grab a smaller, like the, what we're dealing with here, the burr bit. So since I've sanded this off, as you can see here, that little hook piece isn't there anymore. A lot of times I like to kind of go in and just sand anything that's kind of excess around. Remember, we put some super glue down there a minute ago, and sometimes whenever you go in and sand, I like to sand all the way down to the plastic, just so you don't have that little extra piece sticking out. Any of that, like, you don't want any of that, just because you need this to be as perfectly round as possible, so it works, the way it's supposed to. Any kind of weird edges in there can cause this to be an issue. Okay, so we're going to put this back on. First thing, what will happen here is whenever you do put this screw in, it tends to make the ball a little larger. And I do have a tutorial on this for some Mafex figures. I did it first with a film Shazam figure. The client, his problem was that the arms would pop out too easy. So I drilled holes in the pegs and I put a screw down them, and what that does, it expands the peg just a little bit, and it was just enough to do that. So instead of the super glue trick on a lot of these Mafex figures, you could probably pop them apart, drill a hole all the way down, and put one of these screws in there. Now that does take some practice and skill, but you eliminate the problem of having to add a bunch of super glue on it and it getting stuck or stuff like that. So whenever you do put this back, make sure you do not forget her sash. I imagine if you did forget it, you could probably pop the torso off and run it down the torso as well if you needed to. Okay, so let's see if this works out. Since we did make it a little bit bigger, I just want to go through one more time, just to make sure we're going to clear out any extra that might be in there. All right, so what we should get here is a pretty satisfying pop. and hopefully a firm yet smooth articulated waist. So let's see if we can pop this on. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Let's see here. Hang on. Make sure we got all the... So what can happen as well, you'll notice that on the inside of these right here, can you see that? Let's see. Dang, let's see if I can get a light in there. There's a, you can see like in the center, you see those little cracks on both sides? Those right there are really meant to expand that piece just a little bit so it can click and hold. And what can happen whenever you get a bunch of adhesive in there, if you're trying to tighten it, it can actually stop that from, you know, doing what it's supposed to do. So let's see if we can't. Man, that's really tight. I don't want it to go in. I don't want it to be that tight. Might have to shave down just a little bit. I didn't think it'd make the peg that big, but this could also be what the problem was from the get-go. But it's kind of weird that you would need to make it tighter if it was that tight, because I took all the adhesive off of this. Let's see. Sometimes you just got to do a little extra work. That was good. All right, but the real test is, will it go forward? Oh, that's really tight. Is it too tight? That's the question. If it won't go to the side, I feel like going forward and backwards is really nice. I wonder if that broke the hold. I don't want to break the hold on it. That doesn't feel right. Nah, that wasn't right. See, it twisted, it broke right out. It ripped it out. Okay, so with that being said, that sucks. So what you gotta do, if that happens, which it can happen, you kind of want to go through and maybe run it through this piece real quick through your pliers. So this thing is incredibly tight. So what we'll have to do here is shave out some of the inside a bit. Gosh, I didn't expect that thing to like rip out. I thought it'd actually pop out. Looks like it's because it might have been because this thing split on us earlier, and so whenever that happened, it kind of cut out. And this can happen. Obviously, it just did. I'd rather this not happen, but this happens a lot with these the thinner pieces. A lot of times what you can do real quick is you can go ahead and just add another Dilla glue. And don't get discouraged on it. It's not worth it. Usually what I like to do, you know, be able to, what we also have here is we already have like a threading that's been made. So it's a little easier for us to put it back in. And your screw should catch. We'll go ahead and twist that in as tight as it'll go. Okay. There we go. Yeah, because generally it'll go back in for you. And what we have to do now is, since that did kind of rip some of that plastic out of there, what we have to do is, it looks like, man, I can't tell if like, I wonder if my Psylocke is like this. It looks like this is, to me, it looks almost like the thing is bent. So, I'm trying to, for some reason my brain is not working right. There we go. Okay, I gotta go to the opposite side. You see how it's like, it's this way. It's like bending like that, and that's not, I didn't do that. And I don't think it's supposed, I think that might be where our problem might be stemming from. So I bet what happened was they bent this forward and it broke. So it's not this peg's fault. It's actually this peg right here that's causing this problem. I wonder if we can get this to bend forward. I couldn't tell if like the figure's supposed to be like that, but I was probably, that was stupid to think that. And this could have been either a factory error or I'm not sure. But maybe what we can do is we can maybe bend this plastic a little bit and try to get it more straight. There we go. It's starting to straighten out. So that I'm pretty sure that's what caused our big issue here, was that, and that sucks. Dang it. See if we can't catch the edge of this a little more and go straight back, like kind of more angle it back a little bit. And that might help us out. See if we can't screw this in here. That's a bit of a pickle right there, unfortunately. It was a solid hold before, but now we might have to back up and punt. No, I think we can fix this. Unfortunately, what we'll have to do is just let the glue set way longer, because I'm gonna have to, I think what I might do is now, since we've got like kind of it's basically a rip in the plastic. So what I had to do was bend that piece back forward, and what happened whenever this pulled out, when I had to pull that out, it ripped a bit of the front off of here. It's not bad. I mean, you can still see that we've got a hole there. We just kind of have to clean that up a little bit. It's right in the center, but the issue that we definitely were having was that the peg was bent forward. So what we can do, instead of the super weld, what we'll do is we'll go in with this Loctite Ultra Gel Control. This stuff's really, really awesome, for especially if the piece needs like a little bit of bend. Obviously we don't need that here, but that's just a little extra information. This does really well at kind of like recreating some of the plastic, so to speak. I've done this before. I did it on a Spider-Man recently. It was actually last Sunday. I kind of rebuilt his waist joint by adding a thicker layer of the Ultra Gel, which is pretty cool. And yeah, usually I'd be ending around 3, but since this didn't work out the right way, I'd like to keep this going just to show you what happens if something like this does happen. What I think I'm gonna do though is, instead of trying to clean this guy up, I think I'm gonna see if I can't grip this. We're gonna take out this screw and we're just gonna put in a new one, because I'd rather go further in now, and I'm sure I can just get a hold of this and just pull this out. Normally it won't come out, you know, not under normal circumstances, but if you want it to, you know, it's only in there with adhesive, so you can grip it and pull the guy out. And then what we'll do is we'll repeat the process, only we'll go in further. There we go. In the lobby waiting for our massages. Oh man, you're fancy. My wife actually gave me a shoulder massage last night, because 2 nights in a row actually. I've been in bad shape. Bad shape. And she fixed me up, man. God dang. I was dead. My freaking back was dead. My shoulders were dead. Like my wrist and my hands have been all jacked up. I've been working hard. Like really hard. At regular work and then outside of work. Just nonstop going, because I've had these plans for Toychanics for freaking ever, and then I'm trying to make some more money to keep up with like gear, to keep up with Like I did like I paid $20 a month for Streamlabs here to give me better options. There's some cool stuff that they just added that I'm gonna try out. I think next time. Um, I'm gonna see if I can't get a guest or two in here just to try it out. But it's called Collab Cam, and it looks kind of cool. It looks something basically like what StreamYards does. That I did with Dave Wonder and whatnot. He does some really cool stuff on StreamYard. So, but apparently you can send like a link out and people can click it and just join. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Okay, let's see. Let's try this again. So I've straightened this out. We've removed the screw. So just a follow up here. Oh man, I was supposed to be keeping track of what I was doing too, so I can. Somebody had suggested it'd be really cool if I bookmarked these live streams and let them know, and I did not do that. I told my wife I was going to do it, and I didn't. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get this in. I think it's way faster if you do it the other way. Yeah, let's do it the other way. So what you want to do is hold on to that here and then grip this. I think that's way faster. I say that, god dang. Gosh. Okay, we're gonna. I've never repaired a figure before, guys. This is my first time. All right, come on, man. Every now and then, man, you'll have like either a great run or something that you've done 1,000 times turns into a freaking nightmare. All right, so there we go. Well, this thing is looking pretty ugly, but I needed to have more of the threading exposed this time so I could put it further in, just because like I said, that rip. So I'm going to use some of the Ultra Gel, and I put a lot on there just now because we want to make sure that once this hits, it's going to stay there, you know what I mean? And it's going to need a little extra due to that rip that happened in there. So let's go ahead and see how far down we can get this in there. Yeah, it's just kind of wobbling around. There's the grip. It's just kind of wobbling around there in the top. Okay. And there we go. We've got it in there again. There it is. All right, good. Whew. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to rebuild this freaking thing. I'm trying to... There's some junk plastic in there. I'm trying to get it out. There it is. There's a big hunk of like drilled out plastic. Okay, unfortunately, I won't be able to show you the finished product on this one right now, which I'm sorry about. But just so you know, accidents happen, mistakes happen, and sometimes you gotta, just go with the roll with the punches, and refix a fix. However, I think we can fix Ash up here real quick. I'd like to leave with something. So let's go ahead and... Oh. Let's use the bag. Oh, damn. Okay. That was weird. Wasn't wanting to break. These are pretty good screws. It's also a really good way to get like arthritis and carpal tunnel. So you gotta be really careful. Okay, so we've got our little piece, like once again, this little edge. we want to grab our Dremel, sand off the edge, and go ahead and clean it off. Be careful not to hit the edge. You don't want to hit the edge. All right. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Since this was a different kind of plastic, a little, I don't know, it's kind of strange the way it was reacting for me, but we should be fine. Let's make sure there's no glue here. You can see like on this other piece that whenever I put the glue in earlier, it looks like some of it got down on the bottom. I just want to make sure that it's not going to affect anything here. I think it might just be dried glue, but if it's not, you know. All right, let's heat these legs up. Let's get something fixed completely.
Here's something I found on the web. While healthiness depends on personal health considerations, 1 cup of bujia has 5.5% of the daily recommended intake of saturated fat, 8.7% of the daily recommended intake of sodium, 2.4 grams of total sugar, and 300 milligrams of trans fat.
There's your nugget of joy information. I hope you learned something from whatever she just said. Alright, let's heat up these legs. Usually I do one at a time, but these are so small. Shouldn't matter. Oh, dang, I didn't even see Koopa Steve showed up. Oh, man, Soul Brothers here? No, nice. Thanks for joining, guys. I'm actually running late, but... Alright. And this pops in here. Let's go ahead and close the tops on these. I don't want anything falling over or extra glue. So there we go. We got ash fixed. All set up. There we go. Good to go. Well, that one worked out really well. I'm sure this one's going to work out well too. In fact, it's probably going to be more durable now. But what I want to do is like I said, I got to let this glue really dry. I don't want to take any risks with this fella here. And it looks like we're going to have to come in and clean this up. Like I said, that was really strange how tight that actually was. So I'm thinking what's going to have to happen here is I'll Dremel around this a little bit more to make sure that this is nice and evened out. And then I'll have to, I don't know if I have to Dremel in here or not. We'll see. But I need to make sure this is way smoother, I think, before we get crazy. And what you can do too, if you really need to get involved, like after this has been attached, if there's like too much glue, you could pop both these legs off and technically you can remove this piece as well. It's only really held in by a little bit of adhesive right around here in this edge piece. So you can actually pop that out, and slide it out, and then you can really work with this thing without having to worry about, you know, sanding any of this, like I said, this pretty metallic paint, or hitting that, you know, with your Dremel on accident. You don't want to do that. So that's how it goes. Enrique G says, I see Waldo. That's actually Willem Dafoe. That's Rat from the Fantastic Mr. Fox. But yeah, this is another one I actually have to fix, is Rat. His tail fell off. And unlike lizards, his tail will not grow back. So we have to fix it for him. And it is a tiny looking peg, man. We'll just have to see how this works. It should be good. I'm thinking that's enough. I guess we can run a little later today. I mean, this is what you guys want to see anyways. And we got a few more viewers in here. I don't really get as many viewers on Sunday, but I do get the ones that matter. So that works. That works for me. Gosh, what is this? Ugh. I don't think this thing was ever gonna move. Yikes. That is such a tiny little... God, there's like... Just like... Oh man, there's like a ton of paint. I feel like this is getting kind of weird here, but... God dang. I feel like this would have done better with a ball peg. There's no way I can even use this thing that came out of here. That's just busted. Dang, that's rough, man. That's rough. I don't like that at all. Let's see what we can use to make this better in the long run. Looks like he's got a little paint smudge on him here. I wonder if I can cover that up for the client. Okay, so, oh, cool. We actually still have a little peg here. That's cool. Okay, let's see. So this still bends. So that's good. There's no cracks. So what we need to do here, I might actually end up having to cut this off as much as I'd want to keep it. What I think we could do here is we could really use any color we want, so that's cool. It doesn't really matter as long as it fits. And the piece that we have, where did it go? It was so tiny, I think it disappeared. Oh, here it is. You guys can't see this because it is that small, but this is really, really tiny, like, and it's all chewed up. I can't reattach that. That's just not going to work. And so we have, basically, here's what we can do. Watch this. So I can do this. This is something that I'll do every now and then to kind of give me a good reference as to what I have to either find, recreate, or make something. You can, this is how not to fix something. But what I do is, this is just as a reference. You just, like how most people think super glue works, you literally just add a dab of super glue and then put the piece on there to see kind of what you're dealing with. And it's just enough to like stick. I think what's going on here too is this needs to be filed down. So what I'll do is I'll actually just super glue it back on just so I can measure length and the size basically of what I have to, like I said, recreate. And it just gives you a really nice reference. That is if it's got a flat fit. This is really chewed up. It's crazy. This piece is just like super duper tiny. That's how you know it's super small whenever it's super duper. Gosh, I can't even grip it. It's so small. Oh. You know, it's the life of a Toychanic is like half the stuff you say, people probably would just create memes of it. I can't get a grip! Okay. So it's really small. The piece is crazy tiny. And it's not worth trying to mess with. Especially if I can't even get a grip on it. So what we need to do in this case is basically drill a tiny hole through this and then attach really any kind of peg, as long as it's shorter. Let's see. So what I'll do is I'll take like, so I have this, here's just bunch of assorted pegs, right? Random stuff. Some's broken, some isn't. You never know what pieces you're going to use. And what we can do is we can take a look at what we have here. So what I think my first step to do is I have a really small burr bit that I like to use in situations like this. It's the smallest burr bit I have. Let's see if I can find it, because how small it is. There it is. Okay. I think this is the super small one. Let's double check. Yeah, this is as small as the burr bits get that I have. I think they make them smaller than this, but this is the smallest one I have. And so what I'll do, since this is a kind of a rounded out cavity here, or just a rounded peg needs to go, you can kind of put this in there and you can see how that kind of, like, you kind of have to push it in, but once it's in there, there's plenty of space because that's where something's going in there to kind of move around. And it feels like this wasn't rounded out well in here, which is why it broke in the first place. There was something that was off. So what we can do is we need to find a peg that maybe we can just press it in there. You know what I mean? Even if it takes a little heat, that's okay. But something that's going to just pop in. And I bet you something like this would work. This is probably either an ankle. This is from an old Toy Biz figures, I believe. You know, the old standard ankle joints, or maybe knee joints or elbow joints, or any of those joints that work this way. And what we can do is we can drill a hole. Looks like I have one already broken. Perfect. So what we can do is we can drill a hole through this and kind of shape it up and then pop it in. And it looks like that should work. And once again, what I do whenever I have these, the actual joints, is really the only thing I need to know is the distance from the base of the disc to basically the widest part of the peg. That's the part that's going to hook in and not allow it to pop back out. And so that's what I need. That's the most important thing. And it looks like it's a fairly short, it's not a real long one. Yeah, it looks like we can even mod that if we needed to. Just kind of, like I said, you don't want to drill all the way in with the burr bit. You want to pop it in and drill around and then pop it out. And you can drill a little around the edge to make it, you know, kind of a bowl shape. So whatever peg you put in pops in. But if you drill straight in, then you're just making the same solid hole. You don't want to do that, because if you do that, then you don't have that thinner part to, once the peg pops in, it can't pop itself back out. If you do it all even, you're just kind of negating the process there. This looks actually pretty similar. This right here looks to be either a Mezco elbow. It looks like a Mezco elbow because of this weird hook. They do that. This is why a lot of the single jointed elbows break on Mezcos. They have this awkward hook that won't allow it to go past a certain point, which sucks because you think you'd want it to go anyway. Imagine having Batman breaking somebody's elbow. Well, you can't do that because they won't allow it to go any way further. And that's actually what happens a lot of times. They can't tell under all that cloth where exactly does it go, like how far will this thing go in, and then it'll break. And that sucks. I think this is actually going to work really well, though. So thanks, Mezco, for that. So what happens here is we're gonna use this instead. I was gonna use this joint, but I think I'm gonna do this one instead. What happens next is we have to make sure that our drill bit isn't gonna be wider than the disc. And what I mean by that is, so for our disc, here's our disc right here, right? the center. We need a small drill bit that's not going to be, as thick as this. That was just a little too big, in my opinion, right here. You want it to be smaller so you can drill a hole in the center, and it won't crack the disc. And also, you want that because if it reaches outside of the disc's perimeters, then what you're risking at that point is once you screw that piece in and it's laced with adhesive, what will happen is the glue can get outside of the disc and it can hit the edges and it can lock the joint. You don't want that. So this one's small enough for sure. We're gonna see if I can't. I'm gonna see what'll happen here. I'm gonna see if I can't. God dang, this is really tight. Hang on, this might have been why it broke. It moves, but it's just super tight. I'm afraid, like, once I put this in, I don't want it to break. That's the last thing I want. Just like with Psylocke a minute ago. Okay, so if I can, I'm gonna try to drill down the center of this peg. If that doesn't work, you can always cut that off and just find a spot to Dremel through. Now that I'm looking at it, this is gonna be a pretty tight fit, I think. I'd be surprised if this actually doesn't just chew it up. We're in there. Let's see. Okay, this is what we're working with now. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. So that's right down the center, the hole there. We haven't hit any of the edges, and we made it to the inside. What you want to do after you drill into a disc like that, though, you want to go ahead and bend it, move it, because just in case if you did go too far and you hit that center beam, if you were to insert a screw in there and it hits it, it's gonna lock the joint. Once again, there's a lot of things that can happen. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to, before we cut this piece, we're gonna go ahead and drill a hole down the center of this. Okay, and you can use like pretty much anything you want for this situation. I just happen to have this, which is awesome. It looks like it's gonna work right off the bat, which is that's pretty rare. All right, so that got us a hole all the way through there. And for this one, we're gonna have to use our really, really small eye hook screws. We can't use these stronger ones just because they're way too big. Okay, so we're gonna use a smaller eye hook. These are like, I want to say these are like 1 millimeter, maybe. I think that's about right. Very small. And let's see if we can't screw this in here without it splitting peg. I'd be surprised if we can. Let's see. I think we might have to drill a little more in here just in case, like we did earlier. Okay, let's do it again through this guy here. Yep. Once again, just in case you went too far, make sure you move it around. I can almost guarantee you it's going to split this piece right now if it hasn't already, just because that's such a small piece, but that's okay. All we need really is for this to kind of hit right on the edge. It doesn't need much room. You can't, it sucks because you can't see it as well as I can right now. But you don't need a whole lot here. This is just gonna pop in and be good. So we're gonna cut this off. And we're not even gonna need to straighten this out, I don't think. There's not even enough like distance to need to straighten it. So we're gonna go ahead and screw this in. Hopefully it doesn't split it. We're good. We're good. Okay, let's back this out. And once again, we're gonna add our JB Super Weld here, glue to it. And go ahead and tighten that in. See how far. It can't go in too far because we don't want to go in too far and, like I said, lock the joint. I think this will be good enough. Let's just do a little more. You kind of have to be careful because what happens is that thin point, the sharp point of the screw, if it wants to, you want to be able to have that, but a lot of times I have to cut it straight, especially if I'm dealing with like a peg like this, just because you get that thin. You don't want like the thinnest part of the screw being your, I guess, the strongest point of contact. So sometimes I have to cut these screws flat so they don't dig into the, like I said, that disc peg. Well, let's see what happens here. I think this should work. Add a little dab of glue there. Let's see if we can't get that in there. Okay. Trying to be real careful so this glue doesn't like just hit all of a sudden and then drip down into the piece there. I think that'll work. What I'm gonna have to do here is I'm gonna have to Dremel. I'm gonna have to shape this down after the glue dries for sure. This is a very, very delicate repair. So I'm probably gonna have to do a lot more work on the actual rat itself. But you can see here, hopefully we can move this without it breaking. That's what we want right there. That's the most important part, is that I'm not worried about that. Like, it's not bending the piece. We've got a nice contact. I will have to go in and sand this down and whatnot, but that's basically the first 3 or 4 steps on how to fix a joint that small. And with that, I gotta let all the glue dry here. Unfortunately, I'm still gonna have to let this Psylocke dry a little more. I don't want to mess with that just yet. But I do feel confident that this will work. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see the finished product of that. I'll put that up later on. We did get this one fixed. It was the exact same repair on these two, essentially, just slightly different. And this one just so happened to give us less of a peg to work with. So this one had the ball and peg attached to it. This one just had the ball. We had to drill into that peg, and the peg unfortunately was like bent from, I think that's what had happened. They must have like tightened it up, tried to bend it forward, and it ripped it, and it just stressed the plastic, and so that was a whole other thing we had to deal with, which I should have saw that, but I didn't. All right, we're 30 minutes over time, guys. I've been trying to keep these shorter. I'm gonna hop into the Discord now, so for any of my patrons, I will see you there if you're able to join. I hope you guys learned something today. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday. I know I just got some work done, and I know I have a lot more to do in this room. So I'm probably going to be doing some live in the chat. I'm going to be chilling. I've got a unboxing that's about to happen in there as well, which I'm very excited about. So let's do that. Let's move on over to the Discord for my Patreon members, my patrons. For all the rest of you wonderful Toychanic fans, I hope you have a lovely weekend. And we'll see you soon, which will be probably next Sunday. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, take care of each other out there. And remember, the impossible just takes a little longer, as we've seen with Psylocke. God dang it. See you soon. Bye.